So this is where you come in. What can you do with all these changes that you know are going to happen to your horse sooner or later? What can you do to ease the process, to get a few more useful years out of them, or just to keep your best friend around? It says one study showed that older horses were less efficient in 3 areas digestively. They weren't able to digest protein as well, fiber as well, and phosphorus as well. These less efficiencies in digestion were very similar to if you took an adult horse, mature horse, and took out his large colon. They weren't able to absorb the protein and the fiber and the phosphorus. So one recommendation is to feed your old horse like a long yearling. Because what's different in the yearling's diet? Do they get more or less protein? More protein, so there. The older horse needs more protein. The younger horse needs more protein. They need more calcium and phosphorus, because what are some of the major functions of calcium and phosphorus? Bone building, right. I just told you that older horses lose bone mass and have brittle bones. So it makes sense to provide them with more calcium and phosphorus. And this says right here, they can't digest the phosphorus. So in order for them to get the phosphorus out of their food that they have been all their life, they're going to need more. So as far as diet, there are 3 ways you can affect diet. Forage or roughage, and then grain I put in parentheses because I haven't fed my horses grain for I can't remember when, and then supplements. How much % of a horse's body weight should they eat per day as forage? 1.5 to 2%, and that's exactly right on. And then what you do is you make up any vitamin, mineral, and protein deficits with a grain or a multivitamin or ration balancer. We'll talk about those in a minute. The problem with the older horse, long stem roughage, hay, pasture is ideal. But if their teeth aren't working so well and they can't chew the long stem forage, then what are your options? If your horse can't eat real hay from a bale, then you have options of hay cubes. They put hay in pellets. There's chaff, there's hay stretcher. Beet pulp is an excellent source of forage for horses. It's kind of between hay and grain as far as nutrient composition, and you can replace about 25%, maybe 30% of your horse's hay with beet pulp. An excellent source of energy. Note about complete feed. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say complete feed? The grain, it's hay and grain in a bag. Awesome. Here's what happens with complete feeds, because I've heard some people say, I love complete feeds to my older horse because there's extra vitamins and minerals. I want to disagree with that and say that it's diluted vitamins and minerals because it's not grain. It's hay and grain together. So if you're going to feed a complete feed, how much might you need to feed a horse a day? So the bag might say 15 to 18 to 20 pounds a day. So if you buy a 50-pound bag, how long should a bag last? About 3 days, right. I know a lot of people, and I won't say any names, but I know a lot of people who feed complete feeds 1 to 2 pounds a day. You're not doing your horses any favors doing that. You may as well be on a regular grain. And you heard me say I don't feed a lot of grain, and part of it is the insulin resistance. I think there are way too many overweight and, dare I say it, obese horses in this country that don't need grain. And I think that people don't feed grain right. They do the same thing with fortified grain that they do with complete feeds. And that is, I'm going to give you this much just to get your supplements that you bought from SmartPak in. This much grain isn't doing anything. It's a carrier, but it's not providing the vitamins and minerals and maybe protein that you think it is. The ration balancer takes the calories out and only provides the vitamins, minerals, and protein. So it's a nice option for a horse that you want to provide a complete and balanced diet, but they don't need the calories from the grain. Keep moving down the rung. If you're on a really high quality hay, maybe all your horse needs is a multivitamin mineral supplement. So you're just providing vitamins and minerals and not the protein. So then we come to supplements. Let me start with the vitamin C because there's an exclamation point there. We've known for quite some time that older horses use up their vitamin C. Vitamin C is one of the vitamins that horses make themselves, right? So, and they make it in their liver. If they have a healthy liver, they're making enough. If they don't have any disease processes like respiratory diseases, like HEEs, they use up the vitamin C, they might have enough. But the combination of a less efficient liver and probably more respiratory disease makes the vitamin C in the older horses, they're not making enough to keep up with how much they're using it. So that's one of the supplements that Sarah Ralston from Rutgers, I mentioned her earlier, she says, you know what, maybe your older horse should get about 10 grams of vitamin C. We have some products like Pure C and what's it called now? Vitamin C by SmartPak, that are just vitamin C if that's all you want to supplement. B vitamins, another vitamin your horse makes themselves. Well, there's a bunch of B vitamins. It's actually the microorganisms in the gut. That doesn't surprise anybody, right? You all knew about the good bugs that live in the back end? Whew, okay. So they make a wide variety of B vitamins, but the NRC, our new friend, has determined that the bugs in the back bugs, they don't make enough thiamine, B1, or riboflavin, B2, for the horses to meet the horse's needs. So you have to provide those in the diet. Well, if the older horse has a less efficient digestive system, and that population of bugs in the back is becoming more fragile, more sensitive, then they're probably not making enough B vitamins. So that might be one category of vitamins that you also want to add in. The older horse is having some age-related changes that are in part due to oxidation or the production of free radicals. An antioxidant is a good way to combat this, and vitamin E is one of our safest, most well-known antioxidants. I strongly encourage the owners of senior horses to feed their horses probiotics and prebiotics. Now, what's the difference? It's one letter. I know, our Latin tells us pre means before and pro, okay. The probiotic is the actual, when it's used in that word, it's the feeding of the microorganisms. So you are helping the hindgut repopulate, recolonize. Prebiotics are the food for the bugs, the preferred food source. So it's things like a short or medium chain sugar. They love sugar. So if we feed them what they prefer to eat, they're a healthier population. They make more B vitamins, they do more fermentation, they live longer. Turns out if the bugs in the back live longer, the horse lives longer. Who knew? This is a great study. These guys said, we think that in the older horse who's losing muscle mass, probably if you feed them the first limiting amino acids, lysine and threonine, they won't lose muscle as quickly, their top lines won't go away, they'll look better and perform better. So they designed this study and they took a control group of young, I say young, but I mean, adult horses, and then the test group of senior horses, and then they fed them this amino acid supplement, and then some they didn't feed, right? What they found was every age of horse built more muscle, developed more muscle mass. It wasn't just the older horses. Amino acid supplementation, they had to change their title, improves muscle mass in aged and young horses. But for the purposes of tonight, amino acid supplementation improves muscle mass in aged horses. If you're trying to add weight to your older horse, there's a number of ways to do it. You can add amino acids because maybe the weight needs to be muscle. Maybe they've lost muscle mass and they're looking kind of puny. Maybe you need to add fat because maybe as you're doing the body condition scoring, their fat cover has gone away. Maybe you could help their own digestive processes get the most nutrients out of the food you're already giving by adding pre and probiotics and digestive enzymes. Now we have a supplement that does all those things, and we talked about they lose their enthusiasm for eating, not your horse, but everybody else's horse. We added a really good smelling herb to our weight gain formula. It's called Smart Gain 4. It's called fenugreek, and I've heard it smells like maple syrup, something it smells like vanilla, I don't know what horses think it smells like, but they like it. So in the olden days, years ago, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, it was used to put what's called a nose on bad hay. It would make a really poor quality hay smell good. So horses like it. But it's this supplement, the Smart Gain 4, has the best of all worlds. It has the fenugreek to make it smell good and be appetizing to the older horse who might not eat as well as he used to. It has the amino acids to help his muscles, and has the fat, and it has digestive support. So it's a nice product.
What is it again?
It's called Smart Gain 4. Smart Gain 4. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I don't think any older horse should be without a joint supplement. And maybe all you want to do is glucosamine, maybe all you want to do is MSM. But a lifetime of working for you has developed some arthritis. I don't think there's a horse out there in his teens or 20s that does not have a little bit of arthritis. They're going to feel better, they're going to thank you if you provide them with a joint supplement.